Hi, it's Katrina! From stranded sea creatures to long-lost soldiers and a river so hot it can burn your skin off, here are 10 of the craziest things ever found in the jungle. Number 10. Humpback Whale. Early last year, local fishermen got a surprise when they discovered something pretty strange in the middle of the jungle. A 26-foot baby humpback whale carcass. It was found on the Brazilian island of Maranhão, which is situated near the mouth of the Amazon River. The non-profit research group Bicho de Agua explained that the whale probably became lost at sea and died of starvation or some other unknown cause, which makes sense. But how did it end up in the middle of the jungle? During this season, the tide normally rises twice a day to almost 4 meters and floods the mangrove forest, oceanographer Maura Sousa explained. The tides washed the whale's body ashore at Arana Beach in the city of Sore and then carried it into the mangrove forest roughly 50 feet from shore. It likely passed away 4 to 5 days before it ended up there. Sousa said that while humpback whales are common in the South Atlantic, this one appeared at an unusual time of year, and it may have even been a North Atlantic whale. Researchers hope that a necropsy and DNA test will yield more information about where the whale came from and how it died. Number 9. Sigiriya. Dubbed the 8th wonder of the world by locals, Sigiriya is an ancient 590-foot-tall palace and fortress complex located on a rocky plateau in the heart of Sri Lanka. Formed from the magma of an extinct volcano, the structure towers some 656 feet over the surrounding jungle. Sigiriya and its nearby territories were inhabited for centuries by ancient civilizations, royalty, and others. From the 3rd century BC, the site served as a monastery. Then, in the late 5th century, a royal residence for King Kasyapa was constructed there. The property once again became a Buddhist monastery after King Kasyapa's death, until it was permanently abandoned in the 14th century. The rock formation was built in the shape of a lion. While the upper parts were destroyed, the lion's feet remain intact. Sigiriya's western walls are covered in 18 frescoes depicting various women. The portraits are likely of priestesses as well as King Kasyapa's concubines and wives, and were created during his reign. There is also a mirror wall at Sigiriya featuring poems and inscriptions left by past visitors, dating back to the 8th century. During the palace's heyday, the mirror wall was kept polished so the king could see his reflection in it. Today, Sigiriya is one of Sri Lanka's most popular and historically significant tourist destinations. Number 8. A devoted soldier. When World War II ended in 1945 with the Japanese surrender to the Allied forces, one soldier simply did not believe it was over. Hiroo Onoda, a Japanese intelligence soldier from Wakayama prefecture, remained in the Philippine jungle for over 30 years, relying on his guerrilla warfare skills to stay hidden and avoid capture. Authorities said that they had flown over the area many times, dropping packages and letters, saying that the war was over, but Onoda refused to accept the news. Onoda was initially joined by 3 comrades, one of whom left the jungle and returned to Japan in 1950. The same year, another of Onoda's comrades was killed. His 3rd comrade survived until 1972. In 1974, Onoda's brother and former commanding officer traveled to the island of Lubang, where the holdout's hideout was located, and finally convinced him that the war had ended. Onoda later explained that he believed Tokyo's pro-US government was scheming against him in their previous attempts to persuade him off the island. He formally surrendered to Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos in his Imperial Army uniform, cap, and sword, which were all still in good condition. Marcos pardoned Onoda for killing as many as 30 people he mistakenly took for enemy soldiers throughout the years. Onoda moved to Brazil and became a farmer in 1975 and returned to Japan a decade later, where he created nature camps for children. He passed away in 2014 at the age of 91. Number 7. The Lost White City. In 2015, archaeologists explored the ruins of an ancient lost city in the Mosquitia rainforest in Honduras. For centuries, indigenous locals spoke of a legendary white city, also known as the City of the Monkey God. But there was no physical evidence of the once thriving metropolis. Everyone thought it was perhaps a legendary city until 2012, when an overhead aerial survey detected the ruins. The mysterious culture that inhabited the White City thrived a millennium ago, before unexplainably vanishing. During their visit, the team of experts mapped the site's plazas and earthen pyramids, mounds, and other structures. They also discovered a collection of stone sculptures that were last handled 1,000 years ago, when the city was abandoned. The cache may have been an offering, according to Mesoamerican archaeologist Christopher Fisher, who participated in the expedition. He also said that it's incredibly rare to find artifacts like these in such an undisturbed, pristine state. Very little is known about the people who lived in the White City, including what they called themselves, and La Mosquitia region that the city is located within is one of the world's least scientifically explored areas. The discoveries in recent years and further exploration will hopefully help researchers get one step closer to uncovering the secrets of the Eden-like paradise so frequently mentioned in local folklore. Number 6. A wartime hideout. In 2015, archaeologists from the University of Buenos Aires announced the discovery of what they believe to be a German World War II-era hideout nestled in the thick vegetation of Argentina's Teyucuaré National Park in the northeastern province of Misiones. Located close to the border with Paraguay, the site has long been associated with local legends of secretive German occupation. Evidence of this was finally unearthed thanks to the archaeological team, who found fragments of a German-made plate at the site, along with 5 German coins minted between 38 and 41. The alleged bunker consists of a normal house with enough room for 6 to 8 families and is surrounded by 10-foot thick walls and a hilltop watchtower. It's in an extremely remote location that would have been especially difficult to access back in the 1940s and even harder to survive in. After the war ended and until 1955, Germans were welcomed into Argentina. Their post-war presence in the country numbered at least 5,000, according to records in Chile and Brazil that were uncovered in 2012. But most of them lived in cities and on ranches rather than in secret bunkers, according to Vice, suggesting that the clandestine refuge was there before Germans began migrating en masse to South America. Skeptics suggest that this simply was not the case and that the structure may have been a failed homestead or a refuge belonging to some other group of people, and that locals advertised it as a German site to increase tourism profits. What do you think? Is the bunker the real deal, or was someone trying to make a quick buck? Let me know in the comments below, but first, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 5. An airplane hotel. Located in Costa Rica's Manuel Antonio National Park is a 1965 Boeing 727 that, at first glance, you may assume crashed into the jungle and was simply left there, but it's actually a refurbished aircraft that was converted into a hotel. Before it became a 2-bedroom home away from home with a terrace and stunning views, the plane was salvaged from the San Jose International Airport in Alajuela, Costa Rica. Getting the 727 to the middle of the jungle was no easy task. It took 5 truckloads, and once the frame reached its destination, it was reassembled atop a 50-foot pedestal, where it sits high enough for guests to enjoy ocean and jungle views. The vintage hotel is completely modern. It's fully air-conditioned with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchenette and dining area, a spiral staircase leading to the entrance, surrounding gardens, and a hardwood deck where the right wing once was. Guests sometimes even spot animals like sloths, toucans, and monkeys while kicking back on the terrace. Bucket list item? You bet. Number 4. A man-made rainforest. Sometimes it's not just what you find inside the jungle that surprises you, it's the jungle itself. One of Charles Darwin's least known accomplishments exists in the form of a man-made rainforest on Ascension, a remote island in the South Atlantic. Located just south of the equator, 1,000 miles from the African coast and 1,400 miles from the South American coast, the tiny 33-square-mile tropical island was once nothing more than a barren volcanic outcrop. Charles Darwin arrived at Ascension in 1836, and after referring to the island as hideous, set forth a plan to create a lush green artificial ecosystem. But Ascension was arid and lacked a freshwater source, and the rain it received evaporated almost entirely, posing obvious obstacles to growing a forest. Nevertheless, at Darwin's urging, a botanist and explorer named Joseph Hooker convinced the Royal Navy to go along with the idea. Starting in 1850, tree and plant shipments from botanical gardens in Europe, South Africa, and Argentina began arriving on the island. They were planted on Green Mountain, which juts over 2,000 feet into the sky. Things worked out splendidly. The trees captured and absorbed rain, causing less moisture to evaporate. As a result, the soil became richer. A diverse assortment of species thrived by the late 1870s, including Norfolk Island pines, banana trees, bamboo, and eucalyptus. The formation of a rainforest on Ascension is especially impressive because it sprang up in as little as 150 years. when this highly complex type of environment usually takes much longer to form. Scientists are looking to the rainforest on Green Mountain for potential clues about how vegetation could someday grow on Mars. Number 3. The Amazon rings. A shocking 2014 study revealed that several ditches throughout the Bolivian and Brazilian Amazon were there before the rainforest itself. The square, straight, and ring-like formations are human-made, but their purpose and who built them remain a mystery. Their presence also begs the question of how prehistoric people changed the Amazonian landscape before Europeans arrived. Researchers believe the ditches were possibly ceremonial or religious in nature, or that they may have had practical uses, such as defense or drainage. The findings challenge the previously held theory that indigenous people barely altered the landscapes they lived in before moving into another area. In the 1980s, deforestation began revealing, quite literally, the flaws in this type of thinking. The ditches, which are up to 16 feet deep and nearly just as wide, have brought to light a new controversy between experts, whether they were slash-and-burn operations that were abandoned and became overgrown, or if the pre-Columbian people who created the ditches did little else to alter the environment. Sediment samples from northeastern Bolivia revealed that until a few thousand years ago, parts of the Amazon more closely resembled the African savanna than its current jungle habitat. Drought-resistant species, including evergreens and pollen, increasingly appeared in the samples starting around 2,000 years ago. Charcoal levels simultaneously decreased, making the environment less prone to wildfires. Based on these findings, it appears that the area's early inhabitants dug these mysterious ditches before the forest grew around them. Number 2. A boiling river. Geophysicist Andrés Russo first heard of a boiling Amazonian river called Chaney Timpishka as a child from his grandfather. To find out if the fabled river really exists, he traveled deep into the Peruvian jungle to investigate and found what he was looking for. Russo told National Geographic that the 5.5-mile river, which reaches 16 feet deep in some places, starts off as a cold stream. The lower 3.8 miles constitute the hot portion, with temperatures ranging between 80.6 degrees to 201.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of that flow, particularly during the dry season, is hot enough to kill you, Russo said. Small mammals, reptiles, or amphibians regularly fall in and are boiled alive. The boiling river is a non-volcanic geothermal feature. In other words, a stream of extremely hot water that flows at very fast rates from deep within the earth. This discovery came as good news to Russo, who suspected that the boiling river may have resulted from a nearby oil field accident rupturing a local geothermal system. Locals who have long known about the boiling river consider it a sacred place and believe its waters have healing powers. A shaman from the nearby town of Mayantuyacu guards the river and grants permission to those seeking to explore it. All things considered, it's good that someone keeps an eye on the river. After all, if someone fell in, they'd instantly be covered in third-degree burns, and even the mud is too hot to walk on in some spots. Number 1. A fairy tale mountain. At first glance, you'd probably never guess that the Montaña Mágica Lodge, a hotel located in Chile's Huilo Natural Reserve in the southern Andes, is man-made. The structure, which appears to be a volcano covered in overgrowth and with waterfalls flowing down the sides, blends in perfectly with the surrounding Patagonian jungle. Built from locally sourced stone and wood, the hotel contains homey suites named after different bird species and is surrounded by 232 square miles of forest. Getting to the hotel is no easy task, requiring at least a 2-hour flight from the nearest airfield, but by all appearances, it seems worthwhile. To reach the hotel's entrance, visitors are required to cross a charming monkey bridge. Inside the hotel, there is a brewery and pizzeria. There is also a nearby spa, along with South America's longest zip line, enabling guests to soar 1,500 feet above the ground. While exploring outdoors, you're likely to catch a glimpse of some of the jungle's permanent residents, including deer and wild boar. Thanks for watching! Which discovery was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you are new here. See you next time!